Take all I have in these hands and multiply. God, all that I am, and plant my heart on the altar again. Set me on fire, set me on fire. Take all I have in these hands and multiply. God, all that I am, and find my heart on the altar again. Set me on fire, set me on fire. Here I am, God, arms wide open, pouring out my life, gracefully broken. My heart stands in awe of your name. Your mighty love stands strong to the end. You will fulfill your purpose for me. You won't forsake me. You will be with me. Here I am, God, arms wide open, pouring out my life, gracefully broken. All to Jesus now. All to Jesus now. Holding nothing back. Holding nothing back. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. God, arms wide open, pouring out my life, gracefully broken. Here I am, God, arms wide open. Out my life, gracefully broken. Your power at work in me, I'm broken gracefully. I'm strong when I am weak. I will be free. Your power at work in me, I'm broken gracefully. I'm strong when I am weak. I will be free. Your power at work in me, I'm broken gracefully. I'm strong when I am weak. I will be free. Here I am, God, arms wide open, pouring out my life, gracefully broken. Here I am, God, arms wide open, pouring out my life, gracefully broken.
Mark 6:45 to 52. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to Bethsaida while he dismissed the crowd. After leaving them, he went up on a mountainside to pray. When evening came, the boat was in the middle of the lake and he was alone on land. He saw the disciples straining at the oars because the wind was against them. About the fourth watch of the night, he went out to them, walking on the lake. He was about to pass by them, but when they saw him walking on the lake, they thought he was a ghost. They cried out because they all saw him and were terrified. Immediately he spoke to them and said, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." Then he climbed into the boat with them, and the wind died down. They were completely amazed, for they had not understood about the loaves. Their hearts were hardened.
In Mark chapter 6, there's a story about Jesus and the Sea of Galilee. And sometimes we think we've read these stories many times. I already know. Why do I have to listen to the pastor read this passage again? We have to take it into the context. Jesus performed another miracle. It was the feeding of 5,000. And this happened twice. This time, after it was done, Jesus immediately instructed his disciples to get back in the boat and strike out across the lake to Bethsaida, where he would join them later. He himself would stay and tell the crowds goodbye and get them started home. Just the kind of guy Jesus was, right? Finished his miracle. It wasn't just like, okay, walk away. He took the time to say goodbye, like a good shepherd. Afterwards, he went up into the hills to pray. I want you to think of each of these different sentences as time that's gone by. Sometimes we read these passages as if it happened, then it happened, then it happened. Sure, it happened, but sometimes there was hours in between these verses. So if you take the time to read Mark 6, verses 45 to 52, and read it as normal lifetime goes by. Jesus went up into the hills to pray. Now at that same time, the disciples had left. They got in their boat and they were heading across the Sea of Galilee. It says, during the night, as the disciples in the boat were out in the middle of the lake and Jesus was alone on land, Jesus saw that they were in serious trouble, rowing hard and struggling against the wind and waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, he walked out to them on the water. This part, I've read it a million times. I still don't understand. He started past them, it says. But when they saw something walking along beside them, they screamed in terror, thinking it was a ghost. For they all saw him. How many times have all of us together seen a ghost? It wasn't a ghost. It was actually Jesus. It was actually someone walking toward them on the water. Jesus spoke to them at once. And what did he say? He said, "It's all right. It's me. Don't be afraid." And then he climbed into the boat, and the wind stopped. The disciples just sat there, unable to take it in, for they still didn't realize who he was, even after the miracle the evening before. The last little sentence says, "For they didn't want to believe." When it comes to living, do we want to trust that what God asks us to do or invites us into is good? It is trustworthy? That it's okay? We don't have to be afraid because he's there? Or do we just not want to believe? We want to sit on the couch, look outside, and enjoy the view from inside in our comfort zone. It's a struggle, this being afraid to live or living life to the full. It's our choice. And God is calling us out, calling us. Philippians 4, verse 13. You've heard this verse very many times. I kind of add a little bit. I want to add a little bit. I'm not want to add to the Bible, but this is how I see it. We may fall, when we try to do things. But if we try, I would argue that we cannot fail. Philippians 4 verse 13 says, we can do all things through Christ. I also see that as we can do all things with Christ. Failure would be to never have even tried. So how can we overcome fear? We can look and see that it's Jesus. It's not a ghost. We can listen. It's okay. Come with me. Trust me. We can learn. Learn from the things that we read, that we've read over and over and over. Philippians 4 verse 13. John 10 verse 10. Mark 6 verses 45 to 52. We've read these things over and over, and yet we still find ourselves doubting. Even when Jesus asks us, I will give this to you. Come and take it. And yet we're nervous. I get it. I'm nervous too. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to look like a failure. I don't want people to laugh at me. I just want to be comfortable, right? All these different things that come into play in our minds. The devil comes to fool us and to take from us. But Jesus asks us to come and take what he has. It's a life of fullness.